YouTube is a place filled to the brim with sociopaths. Coldest take of the year goes to... Oh, that was me doing a drum roll. While I'm aware this is a very cold take, I still think that it's one a lot of people try to pretend isn't the case. But time and time again, the people who tend to be super kind and real end up being the most insane motherfuckers on the planet. Appearances matter a lot to these people, as it's usually what they build their entire brand on. It has been a while, so I need to bring up my favorite little dead horse to beat, Shannon. Before she shit the bed, Creepshow art was really popular. I'm burping so much because of the pills. This was because her YouTube persona was one people could get attached to. A no-nonsense, self-proclaimed bitch who had her fair share of problems, but that made her so real. She wasn't perfect, but was still a person her audience could get behind. Who's behind me? Only for all of that to be a poorly crafted facade used to hide the fact that Shannon was actually a weird, obsessive, get this, sociopath. Surprise, surprise, YouTubers don't necessarily act the same way when off camera, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I don't typically act the exact same way I do on camera. In fact, the second I'm done recording, I blank face during every part of my life. A somewhat similar thing happened with the star of our video, Illuminaughtii, or Blair because it's much easier to type out without fat fingering it. Critics say she had a similar downfall to Creepshow art, which is why I bring her up, because hang on. Critics say that she had a similar downfall to Creepshow art, which is why I bring her up, because you will start to see a lot of similarities. Blair's entire personality on YouTube was speaking up for the little guy, going against the big corporations who were destroying the lives of the working class. But unsurprisingly, this was nothing but a mask she used to hide a lot of her awful actions towards other creators, friends, and even her employees. Though, if you follow the weekly witch hunts, you should probably already know the story by now. But after 201 days at the time of writing the video, a lot more has been revealed, and Blair also did a really silly thing that I'll be covering near the end. This is the story of Illuminaughtee's embarrassing downfall and how she basically cancelled herself. Blair's career starts back on Reddit, more specifically reacting to Reddit groups such as r/entitledparents, r/niceguys, you know, the type of Reddit someone would read about while having Subway Surfers gameplay in the background. This would last for about a year until Blair would move on to video essays, her first video being on MLMs, or pyramid schemes.
Multi-level marketing, or MLM, is the new buzzword. Anti-MLM Reddit videos have been popping up all over YouTube, including my own, and many people like them. But for those who may not be as familiar with what an MLM is, or for someone who has some knowledge but wants to know more,
shut the hell up! Damn!
This was different to a lot of other video essays that were typically focused on creators or media. Blair was incredibly successful with these videos, some of which have millions of views, like her one of Peter, which I've watched. As a former fan, I have to say the quality of these videos were really good, and so was her output. Blair was uploading nearly every week, something I myself got burnt out on doing after just 1 month. The reason she was able to have such an insane output while also maintaining her sanity is with the help of editors and plagiarism. By having a team of people doing every aspect of her video creation except recording, she was able to pump out these insanely well-researched videos, and because of the consistent posting, she was able to make it to 1 million subscribers. In the background, she was also working with a group of creators on a channel called Sad Milk. This will be important later, trust me. Something I do want to point out, however, is that what Blair was doing was pretty normal on YouTube. Using other sources and hiring people to edit is pretty common amongst creators. Even in the commentary community, this is normalized. A lot of creators are able to realize this and be normal about it, but not Blair. Somewhere along her journey, Blair's triangle-shaped head got a little bit inflated, as any and all criticism was just not allowed, sadly. Tommy C had his video straight up deleted by Blair due to a mean joke Tommy made. We could argue whether his joke was that serious all day long, but something that I think is way too far is removing all of the hard work off the face of the earth. Another YouTuber made a video on this, and Blair contacted the artist whose art was in the thumbnail and encouraged them to take the video down. You know, if I put on my nerd glasses, I can see that this is a misuse of the copyright system and a poor attempt at defending yourself from criticism, but people didn't seem to care, so it didn't go that much further. Guess Nick wasn't big enough. Fast forward to this terrible year that needs to end, and we have Blair making a thread of tweets that ruined her life. And for once, I'm not exaggerating. April 20th, 2023 is a day Blair probably wakes up in a cold sweat over. Not LegalEagle's editors broaching my editors to take my video style, and when they didn't give up the info, they literally copied it. And by the way, I have messages from my editors and I found an email from them too. Just change the color from purple to blue, huh? Interesting. So I went through my emails and found this just outright saying, yeah, I'm gonna do this, but if you could make it easier for me, I'd appreciate it. By this screenshot, I already noticed a major issue. Blair doesn't understand how editing works. That or she's just playing dumb. This is pretty normal, to be honest. Everyone on the site right now is probably emulating someone else's style while putting their own spin on it. Asking someone how they did an effect isn't some malicious act, especially when they said they knew how to do it anyway. Why not go to the source and potentially make it easier, right? Also went to my Discord server to try and get more to cop the style. This was completely separate to LegalEagle though. If everything else didn't make sense to me, this super didn't make sense to me. All this did was make Blair look like a person who was fine cutting context in order to fit her narrative. Oh wow. Blair was super kind and left some examples of the stolen edits. And to be honest, I wouldn't have believed any of this was trying to replicate my videos if not for the email and Discord stuff that was done preemptively to their video coming out. Like, talk about can I copy your homework? Yeah, but make it different. Shaking my head. The edit on the left is a well-known effect. Hell, typing in paper rip effect on YouTube gives hundreds of results. And the one on the right is a highlighting effect. Are you taking the piss? I like to imagine all of Blair's fans yas queening before gradually getting quieter and quieter until they eventually unfollow and close Twitter. Because this is the nothing burger of all nothing burgers, and the internet made sure Blair knew it. Hey at Illuminaughtii, I think this is a big misunderstanding. Perhaps great minds think alike. No one on my team is trying to copy you. Without an exhaustive review of your channel, I believe we used those two styles before your channel did. We've used them for 3 to 4 years. Plus the two styles, a pseudo paper rip and a highlight, are extremely common on YouTube. The editor you're talking about didn't even design either of those two elements. Again, we've used them for 3 to 4 years at this point. YouTube is great because it's collaborative, and the rising tide raises all ships. My team and I always try to provide original, high quality, informative content. We try to help others when they ask for it. There aren't really any trade secrets around here. I didn't know that Danny reached out to you, but I don't fault him for doing so. If anything, I think everyone on the platform should be more open and sharing. Anyway, if you feel differently or want it to be hashed out, my DMs are open. Unfortunately, this was only the start of a very unfortunate 2 weeks for Blair. Just to clarify, one of LegalEagle's editors asked one of your editors what plugin they used for a personal video they were working on their own channel. I take plagiarism very seriously, so I'm interested in an explanation of what is I take plagiarism very seriously, so I am interested in an explanation on what exactly is wrong here. Personally, at Illuminaughtii, I would define plagiarism as something a bit more specific. For example, copying someone else's documentary directly into your script.
Professor Hugh Fudenberg.
Professor Fudenberg has long been controversial.
A man named Hugh Fudenberg, a former immunologist who has been long controversial.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit involving the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic child patients with blood products.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit with the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic patients with blood products.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse and misprescribing of controlled drugs.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse of prescribing controlled drugs.
She deleted the tweet. Unfortunately, the floodgates were already open, and once that happened, there really wasn't much Blair could do to stop it. Do you remember that old channel called Sad Milk? Well, a bunch of their members had their own personal issues of Blair. The one I want to bring up here is The Click, who had a multi-tweet thread going into Blair's horrible treatment of him and others. One of Blair's former editors also came out, Wonderstruck, who is a friend of mine. Shout out to the GOAT. I'm sorry, that was so cringe. Now the pressure was really on, and Blair needed to handle everything the best way possible. Because if the claims that were being made about her were true, then funny. This caused her to make a video titled Illuminaughtii Exposed, a video where she guilts and lies to her fans about multiple events and tries to paint the people who spoke out against her as weird, terminally online losers who were cartoonishly evil. You could have just said sorry. Like, honestly, it probably would have worked out better for you that way. But hey, we all know what happened next.
Discussing sad milk now in current day is always a little bit bittersweet for me. It was a fun project among friends that turned sour. The issues I'm about to address cost me some of my closest friends at that time. When the Sad Milk channel was formed, I initially took the lead and I made the channel, I made the Discord, I got my mods from my server to help run the new Discord, I hired and managed video editors to help us produce more content. I was the one who was sourcing the topics and files for each video, and I was the one who had set the schedules for recording too. The reality of the situation was this: with creators in different time zones, it was logistically pretty hard to get everyone together at one place in one time. We tried to do it organically multiple times, but unfortunately someone would always end up missing from the recordings. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into a YouTube channel, and I bore the brunt of it for this project. And it wasn't something that I was doing to have total control, as some members have suggested. I managed the schedules and the editors because it was just something that needed to be done. People weren't stepping up to the plate, and I did, and I ultimately bit off more than I could chew.
First issue was pretty obvious, as Blair has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No evidence to back this up. You'd think there would be something, anything after making such a claim, but nope. Actually, the first time she put up a screenshot actually ends up disproving her own statement. This just becomes a he said, she said situation because the only two people who were there are saying two completely different things.
Essentially, everyone in the group had two main responsibilities for Sad Milk. The first was that you had to show up to the scheduled recording, and the second was you had to pay your portion of the editor's fees as they arise. After the editors were paid, any earnings that were left in the channel were split into 6 equal pieces for each person. Since this was a project among friends, we all initially agreed to just split the earnings 6 ways, even though I was taking on some extra responsibilities. When it was time to pay the editors, I wasn't answered or told that they would just get it to me later. I had to do this at various points with a vast majority of the members of the group. They would eventually get around to reimbursing me only after I expressed in group meetings how I was upset that I have to do everything, and I also got stuck footing the bill too.
And while the doc would be nice evidence for fucking idiots, it isn't for me. You could make that at any time, and there is no proof you actually sent that to anyone. The second issue was regarding paying editors, and what's crazy is that her own video disproves her point. Now read the screenshot.
Look at it!
Get off me!
I'm sick of you keeping me up. You look at it.
It's very weird that this goes from I was the only one willing to pay the editors to, oh, my bad, I'll handle this. This random over-dramatization of everything is what annoys me so much.
I want to take a couple minutes to bring up the Click and the many claims that he made on Twitter recently. The Click brings up how, as he puts it, a very convenient series of videos resurfaced with him saying some not so savory things after he left Sad Milk. His old videos, as he puts it, aged like milk. They did. I'm not going to dive into it further. The information's out there if you so choose to look. And as Click stated, those videos are 11 to 14 years old. And to be perfectly clear here, those videos are not any of the reasons as to why we split ways in Sad Milk, as Click tries to insinuate. Even back in 2020, I had stated that those videos had nothing to do with the ending of Sad Milk. I was actually unaware of those videos at the time of our friendship, but had I been aware of them, that friendship would have likely ended sooner.
This part was also very funny once the Click made his video about this, and also another reason Blair was compared to Shannon so much. Blair had been stalking the Click's various social media accounts, and went as far as digging up 10-year-old videos to use as proof that the Click was this terrible dude who shouldn't be associated with.
Here's another little funny post from the same account where she forgot to switch accounts and interacting with the Animal Crossing subreddit, at least according to us. Here it keeps going. Hey, listen, Blair, I'm putting this all together. What kind of cover-up is this? Click was saying these bad things, created differences. Click is a liar. And not to acclaim someone topic as friends with someone while pretending to be wholesome and good. This is all Blair replying to her own announcement under an alt account. And it keeps going. Click said the N-word and replies and claiming I'm not going to reply and I'm horrible. Here is a long post. I'm not gonna... You can pause it if you want to read the whole thing. I don't want to. Here is the same account, Doobieschmerz, on Twitter. This was an account I remember distinctly from 2020, 2021 that was relentlessly harassing myself, my friends, my colleagues, my streaming colleagues, past colleagues, ex-Sad Milk members, community members, you name it. You name it. At the time.
What the fuck? This is already bad, but Blair made this so much worse by just lying about the guy to other people or blowing things way out of proportion. Blair had a group chat that I can only assume was dedicated to talking shit about the clique. In this group chat, people were combing through videos that were nearly a decade old to justify their hatred of the guy. There are multiple screenshots of Blair both condoning and taking part in this behavior. And like I said before, a lot of the stuff she had a major issue with is tiny, or just ignores the fact that a person can change after a decade. Like the clique saying the R word while learning English. Because this is just super terrible regardless of the context and is super yikes. So here's a screenshot of Blair saying which is terrible regardless of the context and super yikes. But she's quoting someone, so it's not that bad. That is what you're going to say, right? I agree, but Blair tried to use the clique quoting someone saying the N-word as another reason for him being a bad person. If we're actually going to talk about things that make people bad, then I'd say pulling a Shannon and making alt accounts to defame the clique are up there. Why? You're a millionaire. What could have possibly bothered you enough for you to pay someone $200 to dig up dirt on the clique? Oh God. Oh, Jesus Christ. Just donate it to charity or something. 90% of these types of issues wouldn't have reached this point if Blair just left it alone or they spoke. Either would have worked and avoided this massive headache.
I will be brief here because there isn't really much substance. She claims I was tossing around slurs when gaming with friends. The only evidence she has in a group chat where she's talking to Aziwazi, among a few others. So it isn't an actual receipt of anything I did or said. It's not even a conversation I'm in, but just a few anonymous names venting in a group chat. However, to try to make sense of this, I actually asked Oz about this screenshot directly, and he had this to say. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the R-slur thing was about. I not only don't have any memories of it, but would only have to assume based on my past actions that I either A. over-embellished to further feel accepted of the tone of one instance, never of course realizing the damage it would cause. I'm sorry about this if that is the case. B. Blair and I had discussions in relation to this and had created a behind-the-scenes narrative of what to say. This was also very common when we lived under the same roof. C. There was also watching how Blair would twist and omit truths to people. While I don't have any direct proof of this, I will say that watching Blair just say the right amount of truth to people to get their praise and adoration may have swayed me to do the same. Edit, there's also a chance that you said this like way back in 2019. I think the language I used in the group chat was more to put distance between us, not great on my part. It would have to be one of those, or a mix, honestly, because I don't remember you saying it. Not saying it didn't happen, of course, but I don't have any memories of it. I'm sorry for the pain that comment cost, man. Apologies will never, of course, repair the actions that I have made, and when all this went down. I'm sure there is more shitty things I've done or said that I honestly, for the life of me, can't remember.
With the added context, it's really hard for me to take anything she says in this video seriously either. From my understanding, the clique didn't even talk shit about her. The dude kind of just left things alone. We're 14 minutes in and she has basically said nothing of importance. This is basically one big filler episode. We then get her claims about the clique's Discord server. The last 5 minutes already gave me a lot of reasons not to trust a word that comes out of her mouth. But thankfully the clique provided a lot of evidence to make that feeling justified, because Blair lied out of her ass during this section.
The clique and I had shared Discord moderators around the time of Sad Milk being created. Due to the clique's inaction, our shared moderators had brought a situation in his server to my attention, a situation involving pedophilia. In clique's Discord, there was a 19-year-old bragging about a 12-year-old that he was claiming to be involved with. A moderator reached out to get more information on this situation. This 19-year-old then reiterates, and I am directly quoting this here, "I talked with my therapist about it, even too, and he told me as long as I don't touch her, it's okay." Clique and his team did not pursue any immediate action to ban, restrict, or report this individual.
Well, hello there, it's Click from the future here. I was just finishing editing this video where I got a few more things from ex-staff of hers and other people that have burned that bridge. The first couple screenshots is from one of our ex-admins showing that they did indeed reach out to me about the issues in the Discord, and here is me confirming that I did indeed address it. Here is that same person talking to Blair about the information in the Discord claiming that I did indeed take action when the information reached me.
My concern is why Blair, A, thought she could lie about this, and B, that she would get away with it. The clip provided the exact date the groomer was removed from the server, which was the same day he admitted to what he did. This was handled as well as it possibly could have been. If anyone is hiding anything, it's Blair, because she knew that the groomer was removed on the same day and then spent 2 years pretending she didn't. Blair told anyone who would listen that the click and his mod team were complacent with the predator being in his server. She would even say that they had been there for quote-unquote months in some screenshots. She didn't wait for a response like she said in the video. She actually told her mods to get out and leave the server, causing a huge mod war over a predator who had already been removed. The click then had to explain to her what actually happened. She said that she was proud of the guy before putting on her D1 instigator shoes and ruining everything. In the video, she'd even accused the click of being complacent with child grooming. I'll just let the click speak for himself.
When I woke up, the staff spaces were in chaos. I assume she had asked her crossover staff to leave my server after the two teams clashed, fighting, tossing around odd allegations and blame. Keep in mind, the creep that joined the VC was already banned for many hours. And this is what I saw when I woke up in the morning. Tons of messages in staff chats, arguments, white names from people leaving. I tried to get an explanation to what had happened, and it took me a good few hours to dig through everything, talk to people, try to de-escalate, and evaluate who had done wrong, and so on. The situation recap wasn't exactly presented to me on a silver platter.
As mentioned previously, Wonderstruck also mentioned something about Blair, a former editor, tenant, and roommate of Blair actually. Wonder had a completely different side of Blair that they wanted to talk about. In Blair's video, she talks about her and Wonder's dogs like they're two internet personalities having beef. And this was the part of the video where I realized Blair had no clue what she was doing here. Like, I'm not saying I don't care about the well-beings of dogs. I'm saying that this isn't relevant to the video at all. Something that is so irrelevant is the state of Blair's house, which she tried to brush off as them moving. What's so odd to me is that this house was a fucking mess all the time.
These are the living conditions of Oz Media's home after Blair moved back in. Conditions he was embarrassed by. Boxes, trash, cups of mold, all sent to me again 2 years after I left Colorado. And this is my proof that once more, I never set foot in that room, nor did I have malicious intent when I lived there.
Right. Blair seems to break down at the end, and obviously I'm not gonna show that, but I'm not really sure I can even take this too seriously.
At the end of Blair's video, she has what appears to be a heartfelt cry regarding your friendship. This section is roughly 3 minutes. She goes into detail about you, Casper, better times, and involves hobbies, etc. Would you like to share your thoughts on what you felt or thought when you first saw this?
There's not really a nice way that I can actually say this. I've watched her build those tears up on multiple occasions, whether it's she forgot she had a prior engagement, so she built up tears and said, I have to take Casper to the vet and I'm very scared so I won't be able to make it, or for talking to other content creators that she's had issues with of welling up those tears for apologies, for talking with employees, for talking with me or her roommates. It's something that I have watched her do on numerous occasions. If they were genuine, I mean, there's that, but I have a really hard time believing it with how many times I've actually seen her build those tears up.
If this is something someone who has lived with Blair for years is saying, makes me really wonder if Blair is being 100% honest here, especially considering this video was mostly about debunking everything she had said in this video to shift blame to others. With the stuff I plan on talking about in a little bit, it's safe to say that these were crocodile tears. These were used to guilt everyone into taking her side against the YouTuber she lied about, or the editor she mistreated, or the partner she manipulated. Wow, I've never said that out loud before. Holy shit, Blair is terrible. Hey everyone, I'm fully aware of the recent false accusations that have surfaced. I want to take a moment to publicly state that I am taking these allegations seriously, and I'm committed to rectifying the situation promptly and appropriately. I understand the concerns and potential impact that these false accusations have caused. My team and I are actively working behind the scenes to gather all relevant facts. I am committed to transparency and accountability throughout the process. Rest assured that I am taking decisive action to address the situation. I will provide updates and communicate any necessary actions as soon as possible. Thank you for those who are standing by me during this challenging time. I will not allow these false accusations to be weaponized as a way to silence my voice. I appreciate your patience and understanding during this challenging time. I am dedicated to upholding my channel's values and delivering on our commitments. I am confident that the truth will prevail. Sincerely, Blair Zon. Out of all of the people you could have actually gone after, the clique, LegalEagle, Tom, Wanda? Blair in this instance became exactly the type of person who she said was so terrible on her channel. A literal millionaire silencing someone who said easily the most tame stuff about her. You should have Wanda's suicide note and you're the one trying to send someone to court. And just a reminder that this all occurred within a month of Blair's video and everything. At this point, I honestly believe she was trying to feed the entire commentary community because everyone was eating good while this was happening. Fast forward even now, people are still making videos on her that do way better than her channel is currently doing. Look at those numbers. And the worst thing is, people are still giving her shit for what she did. Oz Media also received legal action on a much grander scale as Blair is attempting to foreclose on their house. She is a villain. That is pure spite. There is no other way I can look at this. And on her Patreon Discord chat, she says stuff like this. This is the part of the video where I need you all to realize that this is coming from a person who is trying to kick someone out of their home.
Just, I'm fucking done.